In 2006, 3 Duke lacrosse players were accused of sexually assaulting a girl who had been hired as a stripper for a party attended by many lacrosse teammates. Despite claims of innocence, the community and the court of public opinion held them guilty. In the end, all charges were dropped, no evidence was found, and the district attorney was disbarred for misconduct. This perspective is the sympathizers of Crystal Magnum. The church represents the people of faith that supported Crystal. The shield and the sword represent the community coming to protect her and fight for her. The hands pointing represent the people looking for justice by assigning blame. Even the New York Times sympathized with their situations with quotes such as, "Surely they brought trouble unto themselves," and "a sense of entitlement," referring to the boys that played lacrosse. This perspective is that of Crystal Magnum. I colored this background grayish black because it represents her hard life and her unclear future. In the center, I drew an interpretation of Crystal Magnum's face with a red crack, and this represents her statement that she is, quote, broken. Next time I drew Crystal Magnum behind jail bars, reaching out for her children because she feels that, quote, "the system has torn my family apart. I feel like it's all a vendetta because I wouldn't allow myself to be disrespected just because I was poor, an African American, and a woman." Next is the symbol where Crystal has a gag on that says no. This represents her claims to have said no to the lacrosse players, but was sexually assaulted anyway. This perspective is the people who believed the 3 lacrosse players were innocent, and the lacrosse players themselves. The ducks in the center represent how the lacrosse players viewed themselves as young, trustworthy leaders. For instance, one of the accused lacrosse boys, David Evans, was a co-captain of the team. The shadow cast by this lacrosse player represents the shadow this case and the accusations cast in their lives, all because of, as David Evans said himself, fantastic lies. The man at the bottom left is my depiction of the Superior Court judge that disbarred the district attorney for many reasons, including, quote, engaging in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation, malice, prosecution, and fabrication of false evidence, and concluded by saying there are no credible evidence that the boys are guilty. And to the right is my drawing of the district attorney, who was eventually disbarred, running through a banner. This symbolizes his rush to accuse. The blue background represents confidence and the stability of this story, and how, quote, from David Evans, "it never wavered." The last perspective is my opinion. My opinion is that we should think about what we can learn from this case, and that is why I colored the background green, for growth. For instance, one of the lacrosse players learned from this case. He actually became a lawyer and has worked on the Innocence Project to help people who are wrongly convicted. I want to just say that yes, classism, racism, and sexual assault are all very real problems in this country, but it's important to rely on evidence and always assume innocence until proven guilty. The window in my perspective represents how I think the system should be transparent with its intentions and evidence to avoid corruption. I also use the symbol of scales to represent how judges, prosecution, and the defense should be fair and honest. And my last symbol was the newspapers to represent the media and how it should not help decide who was guilty, and it should be based on evidence instead.